Some things you only understand in reverse. You look back at a moment and realize with a kind of cold dread that the danger was already there. It was right in front of you. You just didn't know what you were looking at. This is one of those stories. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that I was a sophomore, ambitious, focused, studying pre-law, and I was taking a seminar on British Romantic literature that I thought would be my most boring class of the year. It wasn't. It turned out to be the most terrifying thing that ever happened to me. The class was small, maybe 25 students, mostly upperclassmen. The professor ran the lectures, but a teaching assistant handled discussion sections. His name was Crane. No first name, no last name on the syllabus, just Crane. He was somewhere in his late 20s. Tall with this careful, deliberate way of looking at people, like he was memorizing them rather than seeing them. He didn't talk much, but when he did, every word felt chosen, calculated. Most students found him odd and kept their heads down. I found him unsettling in a way I couldn't fully explain, but I figured it was just an unusual personality and moved on. There was one student in that class who was impossible to ignore. His name was Eli. He was easy to like, funny at the right moments, clearly intelligent, the kind of person who remembered small things you said weeks later and brought them back up in ways that made you feel genuinely heard. He did the reading. He had opinions. In a class where participation was basically dead, he and I ended up being the two people who actually kept things moving. We talked. Crane would nod along, build on our points, ask follow-ups. It felt like a normal seminar. Eli and I started running into each other outside of class. We were in overlapping social circles, Greek life at a small school being what it is. Parties, shared events, the same people at the same places every weekend. It felt natural when we started spending time together one-on-one. He was warm, attentive in a way that felt effortless, not performed. After a few weeks, we were something, though neither of us had officially said it. I liked him. It was uncomplicated. That's the word I kept using to describe it. Uncomplicated. Then I saw something that planted the first seed of unease. One afternoon, leaving class, I noticed Eli standing behind the lecture hall talking to Crane. Not a quick exchange, a real conversation, low voices, comfortable. Something about the body language between them was wrong. It wasn't how a student talks to a TA. It was too familiar, too even. Like they were equals who had known each other for a long time. When I asked Eli about it later, he laughed, said he was just playing the game, getting on Crane's good side so participation wouldn't matter so much by the end of the semester. I told him that seemed like a strange amount of effort for a seminar. He shrugged and changed the subject. I told myself I was overthinking it. One evening, a few weeks later, I was at Eli's apartment when he fell asleep on the couch. His phone was sitting unlocked on the coffee table. I know I shouldn't have looked. I've gone back and forth on that moment 100 times, but something was pulling at me, some quiet alarm I hadn't learned to trust yet. I picked up the phone. I wasn't prepared for what I found. There were files, dozens of them, labeled by date, going back months, photos of me that I had never posed for, taken from a distance around campus, in the library, outside my classes. There were audio clips, recordings of conversations I remembered having, but couldn't place how he'd captured them. Snippets of me on the phone, me talking to friends in what I thought was private. There were screenshots of my laptop screen, taken while I was studying, my notes, my emails, my schedule, documented day by day with a level of detail that made me feel physically ill. He had built a file on me, a complete systematic record of my life. I stood there in the dark with his phone in my hands, not breathing, trying to understand what I was seeing. This wasn't careless. This wasn't the behavior of someone with a strange habit. This was organized, intentional. Someone had asked for this, and I had a feeling deep and cold and immediate that I already knew who. I didn't wake him up that night. I went home and sat in the dark until morning. The next week I went back through everything I could access, and I found the messages. He had been sending it all to someone. The photos, the audio clips, the schedules, all of it, sent in organized batches to a single contact. The contact had no name saved, just a number. But the messages themselves told me everything. There were instructions, specific requests. Where does she go on Tuesday mornings? Who does she talk to after class? What is she working on for her final paper? And responses from Eli, Detailed, thorough, almost clinical, like a report. I took screenshots of everything and then I confronted him. He fell apart quickly. The story he tried to give me was incoherent. Something about keeping records for himself, about being a careful person. I told him I'd already seen the messages. He went very quiet. I left. I went straight to campus security, and within a day it had escalated to the actual police. The unsaved number belonged to Crane. I still don't know the full picture of what Crane wanted, or why he'd fixed on me specifically. I don't know if I was the first. The investigation revealed that Eli had been paid regularly over the entire course of our relationship to get close to me and feed information back to Crane. The whole thing had started before we ever spoke. Crane had been watching me from the first week of class and had chosen Eli as the instrument. Everything I thought was coincidence. The parties, the conversation, the way Eli seemed to know exactly what I needed to hear had been engineered. Eli was expelled. Crane lost his position, faced criminal charges, and disappeared from the university completely. I was told there were legal consequences, though I've always felt the word consequences is doing a lot of heavy lifting when someone has spent months treating your life as something to be collected and handed over. That was nearly 2 years ago. I moved. I finished my junior year in a different house with different routines. I rebuilt things the way you do, slowly, unevenly, some days better than others. I don't talk about it much. Mostly I've tried to put distance between myself and that chapter, and just focus on finishing school. But 3 weeks ago I noticed a car. It's a gray sedan, older model. It parks down the street from my current house late in the evening. Not every night, but enough nights that I've started keeping track. I've never seen anyone get in or out. It's just there, lights off, sitting, and then it's gone by morning. I've told myself I'm paranoid, that anyone who went through what I went through would start seeing patterns in ordinary things. People park on streets. Gray cars are everywhere. There's no reason to connect this to any of that. But here's the thing that I can't let go of. The house I live in now, I moved in 8 months after everything with Crane and Eli ended. I was careful. I didn't publicize the address. I didn't post about it. Only a small number of people knew where I landed. I have no idea how anyone from that time would know where to find me. I'm probably wrong about the car. I hope I'm wrong about the car. But I've been thinking about something Crane asked Eli in one of those messages I read. It was from early in the semester before Eli and I had even spoken. Tell me about her routines. Where she goes. When she's alone. Crane wanted to understand my patterns before he ever made a move. He was patient, methodical. He built a picture of me piece by piece before I even knew he existed. And the part that keeps me awake at night, the part I can't reason my way out of, is this. What if he's still doing exactly that? What if that car isn't a beginning? What if it's the end of something he's already finished?